Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I want to talk with you tonight about a prayer that every one of you knows, that every one of you who come to Shabbat evening services has heard countless times, and many of you may say it at home as well, and I promise you'll hear it soon, and that is the Kiddush. Actually, some of those who only come on Shabbat morning think Kiddush refers to the food that's being served and the schmoozing after the service. Not right now, of course, but in normal times, there's always food and schmooze on Shabbat morning. Even on Shabbat morning, there's a prayer which is said, which is also called Kiddush. But today, I'm just going to talk about the Friday night Kiddush on page 55 in your prayer books. And my hope is that you will come out knowing 6 things about the Kiddush, some of them perhaps ideas that you didn't know or didn't think about before. The first issue is why we do Kiddush at all. Shabbat is one of the 10 commandments. You know, when you look at the 10 commandments, you see, Zachor et Yom HaShabbat lekadsho, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. What it means for Shabbat to be holy, I'll talk about shortly. But Kiddush, which comes from the word kadosh, holy, is how we actually declare that Shabbat is holy. We affirm that God makes Shabbat holy. That's what the blessing at the end of the Kiddush means. Mekadesh HaShabbat. God makes Shabbat holy. Now, most Jews don't want to think of themselves as disrespecting the 10 commandments, right? You don't want to be the one who says, oh, I'm not sure about adultery, I'm not sure about honoring parents, I'm sure there are exceptions all around. You're not one of those Jews, right? So you're not the one who says, I only believe in 7 out of the 10 commandments. Kiddush is how we Jews regularly affirm that we accept the commandment about Shabbat. And that's also important because out of the 10 commandments, Shabbat is the only one that has a specific time component to it. The others are things that you do or don't do all the time. You don't have to affirm that you don't steal. You don't steal every day. Mazel tov, right? But even though it's always on the radar, Shabbat isn't every day. So we have this ritual at the beginning of Shabbat which declares that we confirm that we accept this one. That's the reason we say Kiddush. The second issue is one of the phrases in the Kiddush which tells us something about Shabbat. Shabbat is Zikaron L'Ma'aseh V'Reishit. It is a reminder of creation. Shabbat, the day we have to stop working, is a reminder that God is the creator and we are not. And we need this reminder every week because most of the time, again, not so much now during the pandemic, but most of the time, we go about our business and we make things happen. And when we make a difference, it feels good. And we can fall into the trap of thinking that we are the creators, and so we should just keep at it all the time. One day a week, we need to remember the story of creation. And that story of creation is one of the core stories of our Torah, which is not meant literally to tell us God created the world in 6 days, but that God is the creator. As you all know, stories are very important to who we are. Jewish life is based on memories and on stories that we tell each other. The third issue is another phrase in the Kiddush, Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim. Shabbat is a reminder of the Exodus from Egypt. Now, why is that important to include in the Kiddush? It's very simple. You can't have Shabbat if you're not free. We have a blessing every morning thanking God, She'asani ben Chorin, who has made me free. far too many people are not yet free, are held in one form or another of slavery. The Exodus is our reminder that in God's design, everyone is meant to be free, and we are not yet living up to God's plan until we get there. Kiddush is not just something we do with our families or even with the Jewish people. It connects to the big plan God has for the world and what all of us do to oppose or hopefully to support it. The fourth issue, which has to do with the meaning of the word Kiddush, or its root, kadosh. It's a bit of a paradox. Kadosh means two things: to make separate and to draw close. Now, how can togetherness come from separateness? Well, marriage in Hebrew is kiddushin, from the same root. In a marriage, a couple separates each other from everyone else so that they can draw close in a singular way. In the same way, we separate out Shabbat from the rest of the week as a day to draw closer to God, to draw closer to our families, to draw closer to all our Jewish values. Sometimes God is called Kadosh. This can mean that God is transcendent, far away, as in the famous vision of Isaiah, where the angels declare, Kadosh, 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 holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. But when we are told to be holy to God, the Torah is teaching us to draw close. So this is a word that applies to Shabbat as well. Kiddush reminds us that we separate out this day in order to become closer to forces we hold as holy, as sacred in our lives. And here's the fifth issue, which all of you know, but it requires some explanation. Normally, Kiddush is recited over a cup of wine. In Judaism, wine is the symbol of joy. As the psalmist says, Yayin yesamach lavav enosh, wine gladdens the human heart. Grape juice is also an option, so those who can't have wine or just don't care for it can enjoy Kiddush too. Therefore, Shabbat is meant to be a celebration, not a day when you're grumpy because you can't do this or that. Along with this, if you do Kiddush at home, you probably have a special Kiddush cup. And like every Jewish ritual object, the Kiddush cup is a vessel of memory and meaning, reinforcing all the values connected to Shabbat and linking us to the Jews of all generations who transmitted those values to us. The Kiddush cup is more than just a wine goblet. It reminds us to celebrate special occasions and to include Shabbat among them. Finally, a sixth thing. You all know that we sing Kiddush in the synagogue service on Friday night. I know some of you can't wait to hear it. That came about because hundreds of years ago, Jews who were traveling didn't always have their own wine, so the Kiddush was added to the service so everyone could hear it. But the real mitzvah of Kiddush is in reciting it at home. As with candles, the Kiddush is meant to be part of our ritual at home. Shabbat is a celebration. Candles and Kiddush are our way of showing up and declaring that we are part of it, that we affirm that Shabbat is one of our most important mitzvot. We affirm that God is the creator, that we are free to celebrate Shabbat and to set it apart, and that we do so with joy and gratitude for the gifts we enjoy. And that brings me to the part which is especially relevant to our moment, to what we are doing during the pandemic. I know that Neil is going to chant a beautiful Kiddush. I know all of you will enjoy hearing him. I also know that for those of you watching from home, It's not the same. When we stream the service to you at home, whether you are saying Kaddish or singing along or just listening, it's not the same. It cannot be the same. Better than nothing, to be sure, but it cannot be the same. I suggest that this period is the time for every Jew to learn to recite the Kiddush at home, together with your family or even by yourself. If you do not know how to chant the Kiddush, guess what? There are many YouTube videos available to you for free, which will teach you. Now, I would be happy to make a video and send you a text of the Kiddush. It probably would sound better if Neil did it, but I would do it. If anyone wants, we'll take care of that. So this is my suggestion. Next week, if you don't always do it, be ready to do Kiddush at your own Friday night table. You know why we do it? You know more about what it means, and you can make Shabbat special at home. After you do that, we have people who can teach you how to bake challah. Or better yet, you can just get my wife to give you her recipe. Shabbat Shalom.